Good morning, children. How are you all? I think you all are fit and fine. In today's GK lesson, I will discuss with you about the game of chess. This is a lesson on chess. In this lesson, I will try to provide you basic informations regarding the game of chess. Okay, children, then let's start our session. Children, you are finding here 6 pieces of images. They are said to be the pieces of the game of chess. By using these 6 pieces, a person used to play chess. Each piece is having a different name and different sets of action. So gradually I will discuss with you about the actions of each pieces of the part of the game chess. Let's start. Children, chess is a board game for 2 players. So, chess is played only between 2 players. It is played on a square board made of 64 smaller squares. So, in a chess board, there are 64 smaller squares with 8 squares on each row. So, we can say with 8 squares on each side. Each player starts with 16 pieces, 8 pawns, 2 knights, 2 bishops, 2 rooks, 1 queen and 1 king. Okay? So, each player starts the game with 16 pieces. And these 16 pieces are clubbed together with pawns, knights, bishops, rooks, queens and king. Not queens, queen, 1 queen and 1 king. Children, this is the image of a board game. This way the pieces are arranged on a chess sheet or chess square board. This is said to be the chess square board. Chess is a game played by 2 players. That is, the game is dominated by strategy, pieces movement, and advantageously trading pieces to get better positioning in order to win the game, which involves capturing the other player's king. When one person captures the other player's king, that means the first person is the winner over the other one. So, once again, I can say chess is a game played by 2 players. that is dominated by the strategy, because it is a mind game and lots of strategies are there. Pieces movement and advantageously trading pieces to get better positioning in order to win the game. And what is the winning strategy? To capture other player's king. This way, we just arrange the chess board, children. Look at the image very properly. This way, we just arrange the chess board. Now, I will come to the point history of chess. Chess has been played for hundreds of years in several countries around the world. It is a hundred years before game, although its earliest origin are uncertain. We cannot say properly definitely about its earliest origin, but we can say the game of chess is believed to have originated in India, where it was called chaturanga prior to the 6th century AD. Now, I will tell you about the rules and conventions of chess. Chess begins with the division of pieces, and one chess board consists of two sets. One is white set and one is black set. Each set means each white set and black set contains 16 pieces as follows: one king, one queen, two rooks, two bishops, two knights, and 8 pieces of pawns. Okay, so altogether it is 18 pieces. And total chess board consists of 16 plus 16, 32 pieces. And one player handles either white set, another player handles black set with 16 pieces. Each game board has 16 squares. Alternating in color between black and white, with 8 rows and 8 columns called rank and files respectively. Typically, the person with the white set makes the first move. That means the person who gets the white set, who is privileged to move first. A piece is moved to an unoccupied square or a square occupied by the partner's piece, that is captured and taken off the board, no longer in play. So, how the pieces will move? The pieces can move in two ways. Either the piece can move on a square unoccupied, not occupied by the opponent, or the movement will be followed on a square occupied by the opponent's piece. That is captured and taken off the board, and that piece will no longer will be in the board. Chess rule states that each player must make a move on his or her turn. So a person has to wait for his or her turn and must not put their own king in check. So, what to be taken care of? Must not put their own king in check. Each piece has a different way of moving. So now I will discuss about each pieces. As we know, as we discussed earlier, we are having 8 pieces of pawn. This is the symbol of pawn. And pawn can move forward unless they are capturing an opponent's piece. So, what is the direction? Pawns can move forward unless and until they are capturing an opponent's piece, in which case they can move also diagonally. So, we can say altogether there are 3-way movement. Okay, one movement we can say, or we can say 4-way movement. One movement we can say the vertical movement. One movement we can say the horizontal movement. A third movement we can say diagonal movement, and the fourth movement is said to be the square movement. So, children, what is vertical movement? Moving forward or backward along the column. Remember it, vertical movement means moving forward or backward along the column. Now I will say you about the horizontal movement. What is horizontal movement? Moving forward or backward along a row. So vertical means moving along the column. Horizontal means moving along the row. And diagonal movement, what is the meaning of diagonal movement? Forward or backward movement along an oblique line. Okay? That means crisscross. Forward or backward movement along an oblique line, diagonally. Last, square movement. Moving one square forward or backward and then 2 square laterally, or 2 square forward or backward and then 1 square laterally. Once again, I am discussing with you square movement, moving 1 square forward or backward and then 2 square laterally, or 2 square forward or backward and then 1 square laterally. Okay, children? Now I will come to the point about the pieces of the chess. Again, I am saying you about the pawn. Pawns can move forward unless they are capturing an opponent's piece, in which case they can move diagonally. The pawn can advance 1 square at a time, except that at the beginning of the game, when it can advance either 1 or 2 square. It captures opposing pieces diagonally. Okay, now coming to the next point. Knight. Knights move in L-shaped. That means square move. Just before this, I have discussed about the square move. Knights move in L shapes, either 2 square vertically or 1 square horizontally, or 2 square horizontally, 1 square vertically. Okay, so again I am saying you the movement about the knight. Knight move in L shapes, either 2 squares vertically and 1 square horizontally, or 2 square horizontally and 1 square vertically. They are the only pieces that can jump over the other pieces during the game. Now children, I will say you about the piece. The name of the piece is bishop. Bishops move diagonally across the board for any amount of spaces, forward or backwards. Bishops can move diagonally across the board for any amount of spaces, forwards or backwards. Next, children, I will discuss with you about the rooks. Rooks move horizontally or vertically across the board for any amount of spaces. Okay? So, rooks move horizontally or vertically across the board for any amount of spaces, forwards or backwards. Now, I will come to the point, that is, now the time came for the queen. The queen is the most powerful attack piece. It can move backward or forward in all directions for any number of unoccupied squares. So we can say queen can move horizontally, vertically or diagonally in any direction for any amount of spaces. And last, that is the king. The most important piece in the game is the king. It can move forward, it can move backward in any directions, one square at a time. So, what to remember? The king can only move one square in any direction. Okay, children? So, these are the initial and basic informations regarding the game of chess. Okay, bye children. During the class, I will again discuss with you about the chess rules, and even then if you are having any confusion, just let it clear face to face. Thank you children.